Ever wondered how the British architectural legacy in India, once a symbol of power and grandeur, might have a darker side? Today we see these majestic structures adorning the urban landscape of India, their towering edifices and intricate carvings, a testament to a bygone era of colonial rule. From the imposing Victoria Memorial in Kolkata to the iconic Gateway of India in Mumbai, these architectural marvels have left an indelible mark on the country's cityscapes. However, this captivating grandeur also bears the imprint of a complex and controversial past. Beneath the surface of these elegant facades lies a narrative of power, subjugation, and cultural imposition. The British architectural legacy, while adding a distinct character to Indian cities, has also been a reminder of a time when the country was under colonial rule, an era marked by exploitation and cultural erosion. So, let's delve into the past and explore the controversial legacy of British architecture in India. The British architectural journey in India started in the early 17th century with the establishment of the East India Company. This was not just the advent of a trading relationship, but the genesis of a new power dynamic, one that would leave an indelible mark on the Indian landscape for centuries to come. In those early days, the British were primarily concerned with establishing trading posts and forts. These structures were not merely functional, they were symbolic. They were physical manifestations of British power and influence, towering over the local architecture, asserting their dominance. Take the Fort St. George in Madras, for example. Completed in the mid-17th century, it was a fortified trading post, a stronghold that not only facilitated trade but also served as a powerful reminder of the British presence. Its high walls, its imposing structure, its strategic location, all of these elements were carefully designed to command respect and inspire awe. Then there were the factories or trading posts established along the coastlines and the banks of major rivers. These factories were more than just warehouses. They were fortified structures equipped with their own defenses, each one a mini fortress in its own right. They were the nerve centers of British trade, the hubs of their commercial network, the footholds of their growing empire. And yet, these early structures were just the tip of the iceberg. They marked the beginning of a new era in Indian architecture, an era that would be characterized by grandeur, opulence, and an unmistakable British flair. But they also marked the beginning of an era of power and dominance, an era where the architecture wasn't just about aesthetics or functionality, but about making a statement of control, of authority, of an empire that was here to stay. But as we'll see in the next segment, this was just the start of the British architectural journey in India. From these early forts and trading posts, the British would go on to build palaces, government buildings, railway stations, and more. Each structure, each brick, each stone, adding another chapter to this tale of power and dominance. These early structures marked the beginning of a new era in Indian architecture, an era of power and dominance. As the British grip over India tightened, so did their architectural footprint expand. This was the High Colonial period, a time when the British Empire was at its zenith. The landscape of India began to change dramatically, punctuated by grand structures that were far more than mere buildings. They were symbols of power, of dominance, of control. Think about the grand government building that sprung up during this time. Buildings like the Viceroy's House in New Delhi, now known as Rashtrapati Bhavan, or the Secretariat Building. These weren't just administrative hubs. They were statements of British authority, designed to impress and intimidate. Their grandiose designs, inspired by European architectural forms, stood in stark contrast to the traditional Indian architecture around them, a visual reminder of who was in charge. The railways too were a part of this architectural narrative. Majestic railway stations like the Victoria Terminus in Mumbai or the Howrah station in Kolkata were not just transit points. They were a testament to the British technological prowess, a sign of their ability to transform and control the very landscape of India. Universities as well were a part of this grand design. Institutions like the University of Mumbai or the University of Madras were established. Their imposing structures embodying the British belief in their intellectual superiority. They served to educate, yes, but also to inculcate a sense of British cultural supremacy. These grand structures, while undoubtedly stunning and awe-inspiring, were more than just bricks and mortar. They were tools of the British Empire, designed to reinforce their authority and superiority. They were designed to be admired, yes, but also to be feared, to remind the Indian population of their place in this colonial hierarchy. And so, as we look back at these grand structures, we must remember the context in which they were built. They were not just buildings, they were statements of power. These grand structures, while stunning, were a constant reminder of the British hegemony, a stark symbol of imperialism. As the sun began to set on the British Empire, their architectural legacy in India reached its zenith. The late colonial period, from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century, saw an outpouring of British architectural prowess. This was a time of great tension, with the stirrings of Indian nationalism beginning to challenge British authority. Yet, in the face of this impending change, the British continued to assert their dominance through grand architectural designs. One such monument of defiance was the Viceroy's House in Delhi, now known as Rashtrapati Bhavan. This grand edifice, completed in the early 20s, stands as a symbol of the British Empire's enduring influence. Conceived by British architects Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker, the Viceroy's House was an architectural marvel of its time. Its palatial dimensions, intricate carvings, and expansive gardens were a testament to the British Empire's might and grandeur. Yet, behind the facade of this grandeur lay a deeper symbolism. The construction of such monumental structures at a time of growing nationalist sentiments was a clear message from the British. They were here to stay. These buildings were not just architectural marvels, they were political statements, tangible reminders of the British presence and power. However, as history would have it, these grand structures would soon lose their imperial patrons. The winds of change were too strong and the clamor for freedom too loud. The British were forced to pack up their imperial designs and leave behind their architectural legacy, a stark reminder of an era of dominance and subjugation. These buildings, however, have not faded into oblivion. They continue to stand tall, their grandeur undiminished, their symbolism ever potent. They serve as a constant reminder of the colonial past, a past that has shaped India's present in countless ways. The late colonial period, with its monumental structures, was the Swansong of British rule, a last-ditch attempt to assert their dominance. Yet, in the end, these architectural marvels served as the backdrop to India's triumphant march towards freedom, a poignant reminder of a bygone era. But beneath the grandeur and the majesty, there lies a darker side to the British architectural legacy in India. As we gaze upon the intricate detailing and imposing stature of British architecture in India, it's easy to be captivated by their aesthetic allure. However, these structures are more than just remnants of architectural prowess. They are tangible symbols of a painful colonial past and an oppressive regime that held India in its iron grip for nearly 2 centuries. The British buildings that stand tall across the Indian landscape were often built on the backs of forced labor. These were not just workers but people, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, forced to toil under harsh conditions, their lives deemed expendable in the pursuit of architectural grandeur. The cost of these magnificent edifices was not merely financial but human, measured in countless Indian lives lost in their construction. These buildings, in all their grandeur, were a constant looming reminder of British dominance. They stood as symbols of power and control, not just physically towering over the Indian populace, but also metaphorically. They represented the subjugation of the Indian spirit, the suppression of its culture, and the stifling of its progress. Moreover, the architectural style itself was a blatant imposition of British taste and aesthetics, often erasing and overshadowing the rich tapestry of Indian architectural traditions. This deliberate cultural erasure was a form of architectural imperialism, aiming to shape India's built environment in the image of the British Empire. Even today, these structures carry a heavy emotional burden. For many, they are a painful reminder of the dark chapter of colonial rule, a period marked by exploitation, injustice, and the systematic dismantling of Indian societal structures. While they may be architecturally stunning, they are also monuments to a past that still haunts the collective memory of the nation. The grand British structures, while architecturally stunning, remain a painful reminder of a dark chapter in Indian history. So, The British architectural legacy in India is indeed a tale of two sides. On one hand, we have the grandeur and magnificence of British architecture that continues to dominate cityscapes, serving as a testament to the skill and vision of their designers. From the majestic Victoria Memorial in Kolkata to the splendid Gateway of India in Mumbai, these structures marvel us with their sheer beauty and architectural brilliance. On the other hand, these architectural wonders bear witness to a darker history. They stand as a stark reminder of a time when India was under the oppressive rule of a foreign power. The construction of these buildings involved exploitation of Indian resources and labor, and often came at a great human cost. In essence, the British architecture in India is a dual legacy. It is a blend of awe-inspiring beauty and an unsettling past, a tale of grandeur intertwined with the negative impact of colonial rule. As we admire the majesty of these structures, let us not forget the darker side of their history, a stark reminder of the price India paid for these architectural marvels.